So friends, today we start with the topic of and the chapter of excretory products and its elimination. Here we'll be talking about the body when undergoes metabolic processes or when the metabolic processes are going on inside the body. Certain products are formed which are not necessary to the body, which may be toxic, which are toxic to the body, so they has to be removed out from the body. And the process of removal of this nitrogenous metabolic waste is known as excretion at one point of view, because excretion is a word which we use for a different process, and one of the kind of excretion which we have seen in the previous chapters is egestion, like removal of the undigested fecal waste. Then we have talked about exhalation, that is removal of gaseous waste, that is carbon dioxide. So let us define the word excretory products. So what are these excretory products? Excretory products are unwanted and undesirable toxic products produced at the end or the byproduct of metabolism. So this is what you call it as excretory products. Now, what kind of different excretory products are produced in different animals, that is also we can take certain example as. Now, so mainly when we talk about nitrogenous waste, the excretory products can be urea, can be ammonia, or it can be uric acid. So these three different kinds of excretory products are formed by different animals dwelling in different habitats. Furthermore, the removal of this waste, the process of removal of waste or removal of this excretory products is what we call it as the process called excretion. Excretion. As I told you that excretion can be the undigested unwanted waste, which we call it as egestion. Excretion can be in the form of gaseous waste, we call it as exhalation. So it can be in the different forms. Now let us talk about what do we eat in the food, or what do we have in our diet. So when we talk about our diet, we generally consume carbohydrates, then we consume proteins, then we consume fats, furthermore we consume minerals and vitamins and water. Now minerals, vitamins and water are absorbed and removed as it is. So if they are in excess, they will be removed. So this will be removed as it is. If in excess, if it has already been used by the body and if it is somewhat amount as excess, it will be removed. Now carbs are converted into glucose, and glucose is furthermore converted into its waste called carbon dioxide and water. We know that it is removed through the exhalation process after respiration. Proteins are converted into fatty acids and glycerol. These are also, proteins are converted into amino acids. Proteins are converted into amino acids, and these amino acids on metabolism, important topic as far as this chapter is concerned, is converted into ammonia and carbon dioxide. So the process of removal of this nitrogenous waste is what we are going to talk in this chapter, excretory products and its elimination. Furthermore, if we consume fats, then they are converted into fatty acids and glycerol, which are also on metabolism converted into water and carbon dioxide, which are removed through the exhalation process. As I said, when we talk about nitrogenous metabolic waste, here we are going to talk about the metabolic waste produced by the protein metabolism. So this was the introduction part. Now we'll start with the chapter. So now we'll proceed with the topic of comparison of different kind of nitrogenous waste. What different kind of nitrogenous waste are being produced by different kind of animals. So here we will be comparing three different kind of nitrogenous waste, and the first is ammonia, second is urea, and the third one is uric acid. So the first, if we talk about, is ammonia, as you can see. Now ammonia is highly toxic. Now why it is toxic? Because when it is being inhaled, or it is being somehow it is coming in the contact of our respiratory tract, it causes burning and inflammation of alveoli, causing the respiratory distress condition. A person can suffer difficulty in breathing, and it can be life-threatening if more amount of ammonia is exposed to that person. So ammonia, as compared to this, it is highly toxic. Now urea, it is comparatively less toxic because it is produced by the body, and the least toxic form is the uric acid. Now why it is more toxic, let us understand that. Now most toxic because it is soluble in water. Now we know that our body consists maximum amount is that of water. So when we talk about if it is getting easily soluble, so if it is getting easily soluble in the water, we can say that it gets dissolved in the body, and because it is getting dissolved in the body, it can cause greater impact, greater damage to the body. The next is urea. It is partly soluble. Now what do you mean by partly soluble? The word partly soluble is what? That it cannot be directly soluble, it needs some catalyst, and that catalyst is certain enzymes which we do not have in our body, so it can be eliminated in the form of insoluble form. Basically it is partly soluble, but when we remove urea through the urine, it is in the insoluble form. The next is uric acid. Uric acid is insoluble in water, means it never gets dissolved into the water. And which animals eliminate this? That is the next point. So over here, when we talk about ammonia, as it is soluble in water, the water dwelling animals can easily remove it through the gills. So let us talk about this ammonia over here. Let's say this is a fish and these are the gills. So what will happen? The fish can easily remove this ammonia from the gills, because you know that the whole surrounding area is all water. And as ammonia is dissolved in water, ammonia can be easily dissolved in water. It moves from its higher concentration of the gills to the lower concentration in the water. Then, if we talk about, we can say which animals excrete out ammonia, then it is aquatic animals like aquatic insects. Remember here insects, this means the land dwelling insects. It means the aquatic insects. Bony fishes, we call it as ostrich thighs, and tadpole. Tadpole is a stage of, we know that frog, because it lives inside the water. So we can say that these are the animals which remove ammonia. Furthermore, if we talk about urea, which animals or which group of animals removes ammonia? So here it comes with the mammals, the marine fishes, and the terrestrial amphibians. When a tadpole is getting into its adult stage, we know that it is getting converted into frog. So one can consider frog as excreting out urea, whereas its tiny stage is tadpole and it excretes out ammonia. And then next we talk about is uric acid. Now, uric acid is excreted by reptiles, birds, land insects. Remember, here it comes, land insects. Means those insects which live on the land generally, and land snail. Generally, this is been excreted by those animals which faces water scarcity. And whenever there is a water scarcity, you know that that particular animal cannot bear the loss of water through the excretory system. ऑलरेडी उसके पास पानी कम है, उसके सराउंडिंग में पानी कम है, तो वो एक्सक्रीशन में पानी नहीं निकाल सकता और उस टाइम पे वो ऐसे कोई प्रोडक्ट्स निकालेगा जिसको एलिमिनेट करने में उसको पानी का यूज नहीं करना पड़े. सो दैट इज व्हाई टू कंजर्व वाटर such animals like reptiles, birds, land insects and land snail will excrete out uric acid. Now, which organs are involved in this excretion process? You can say when you talk about ammonia, it is through the diffusion process, so it can be body surface and through the gills of the aquatic animals. The next is urea. So when you talk about urea, it is eliminated through kidney and even we excrete out urea. Uric acid, it is excreted in the form of a paste or a pellet. Just an example you can take it over here is of bird droppings. You know that they are not totally liquid forms, and so it is in a paste or a kind of paste or a pellet form. The next is those animals which excrete out ammonia are called as ammonotelic animals. Those which excrete out urea are known as ureotelic animals, and the one which excrete out uric acid are known as uricotelic animals. In the chapter of cockroach, we have studied that cockroach excrete out uric acid. So from that we know that it is a uricotelic animal. Now, what is the relationship of water and the elimination of waste? Let us have a small topic. Now, the relationship of water, the relationship of waste and water is what? Like, if you want to eliminate waste easily, you should drink more amount of water. So, if more amount of water is taken by the body, the elimination of waste become easy. So it's something, if you want to remove more waste to the body, consume more water, and that will utilize less energy. So we can say that elimination of waste is directly proportional to the intake of water. So we'll write one over here. Elimination of waste is directly proportional to the water intake. Because if you take more water, the water intake is more, your body will utilize less energy, and so the waste will be removed easily. Now we start with the topic of ornithine cycle. Like, how is urea produced in our body from ammonia? Alright, so it is all about the protein metabolism. Now we know that proteins on digestion is getting converted into amino acids, and some amino acids are consumed as per as the requirement of our body. It is consumed in the formation of proteins, whereas the excess of amino acid has to be eliminated because it is a waste. So this amino acid which are useful is used by the body, and those which are not useful are now waste, are excess amino acid. So they go in all the food and nourished blood is entering into the liver through the hepatic portal system. We know that. Now over there takes place ornithine cycle. Now the first step of ornithine cycle is oxidative deamination. You can easily predict the word oxidative deamination. Oxidative. What do you mean by oxidative? In the presence of oxygen. Deamination. Deamination, removal of amine group. Okay. So let us write here amino acid in the presence of oxygen. removes ammonia. You can see this here. This ammonia is removed. And this amino acid is then converted into certain kind of keto acid. One of the example is pyruvic acid. Alright, so you can say that it is getting converted into ammonia. And as a result, once this ammonia is formed, this ammonia will enter into ornithine cycle. So, ornithine cycle was first time described by Krabs and Hensley. So, it is also known as Krabs-Hensley cycle. I'll just put a point over here. Ornithine cycle was found by Hensley and Krabs. So it is also known as Krabs-Hensley cycle. And what is the location? The location is liver. So it is taking place in the liver. Now what happens? Let us see it. Let us go to that. Ammonia over here is reacting with carbon dioxide. So ammonia, when react with carbon dioxide, in the presence of carbamide phosphatase, 2 ATP is used over here. Remember, how many ATPs are used over here? 2 ATPs are consumed and it forms carbamide phosphate. It forms carbamide phosphate. So here the enzyme which is used is carbamide phosphate synthetase. So carbamide phosphate is used. Remember, ammonia reacts with carbon dioxide. Carbamide phosphate synthetase enzyme in the presence of 2 ATP is broken down over here and carbamide phosphate is formed. These carbamide phosphate will react with ornithine and will form citrulline. What will it form? Citrulline. Citrulline is later on converted into arginosuccinate. Here you can say that aspartate is used. What is used over here? So aspartate is used over here. Here also ATP is converted into AMP. So adenosine triphosphate is converted into adenosine monophosphate. So you can say that 2 phosphate is again over here consumed. So overall 2 phosphate over here, that is 2 ATP over here and 2 ATP over here. So overall it consumes how many ATP? 4 ATP. So it can be asked that for the formation of one urea molecule, how many ATPs are consumed? It's 4 ATP. How many ammonia is consumed? It's 2 molecules of ammonia consumed. Okay. So we were here, citrulline, aspartate enters over here and in the presence of enzyme arginosuccinate synthetase, arginosuccinate is formed. From here, in the presence of enzyme arginosuccinase, fumarate is released and it forms arginine. Again, arginine in the presence of arginase enzyme is converted into ornithine. But here at this point, in the presence of arginase enzymes, one molecule of water is used and urea is released. You can see over here, urea is released. So basically, 2 molecules of ammonia reacts with carbon dioxide and a molecule of urea is released. So you can see over here that 2 wastes are consumed in this ornithine cycle. One is the gaseous waste called carbon dioxide and another one is the ammonia, that is the nitrogenous waste. So both of these wastes are removed and eliminated by the ornithine cycle taking place in the liver. Furthermore, we can say that where does this take place? In liver cells, in hepatocytes, it is taking place in 2 cell organelles. Half of the cycle is taking place in the mitochondria and half of the cycle is taking place in the cytoplasm. Where is exactly urea released? Urea is released in the cytoplasm. Now this urea which is released will be carried to the kidney, where it is filtered and it is removed through the kidney. Now I know that you might have found the ornithine cycle quite complicated, and yes, of course it is not easy to remember the names of the metabolites which are formed as the intermediate products in the ornithine cycle. So here we go, how to remember the metabolites of the ornithine cycle. So here you need to remember orange, cola, coffee, alcohol, Argentina for aggressive urine. Yes, if you will drink all these things, you will produce more urine. So which things you are going to remember this is orange, cola, coffee, alcohol. So what stands for orange? That is ornithine. Cola, C, that is carbamyl phosphate. Coffee, it will form citrulline. And then onwards, we know that the aspartate enters into the cycle and it forms arginosuccinate. Then onwards, the fumarate leaves, means it goes out of the cycle and it forms arginine, and then it forms the urine. So from Argentina for aggressive urine is all about arginosuccinate, fumarate, arginine and urea. So this is a short key to remember the ornithine cycle. Now let's have a brief idea again for the ornithine cycle. Now how we go with the cycle is proteins are converted into its amino acid. These amino acid will undergo deamination process and it will form ammonia. So this is the first step, and then this ammonia will enter into ornithine cycle and it will form urea. So this is taking place in the liver, and whatever urea is formed will then enter into the kidney and is filtered out. So basically if we see, the more toxic form is converted into less toxic form. So this is a brief idea of ornithine cycle.